her take on the whole Ukraine situation, but it's all part of the same proxy war, but I want to get her specific take on it. Briefly, folks, we're not powerless here. We did stop the open al-Qaeda backing invasion of Syria, so now they've just attacked Iraq with them. It's just so evil and so criminal and so illegal that I don't even have words to describe it. And again, it's like the border's being wide open. The stand down was ordered 4 months ago. The Border Patrol president's on record. And the media still acts like they don't know why there's a problem on the border. It'd be like if you burned your neighbor's house down in broad daylight in front of the cops, and the cops went, "We don't know who burned it down," even though there's video of you burning it down. This is the age of crisis. They're pulling out all the stops to bring in the world government on the backs of the financial collapse and then blame the financial collapse on all the wars and stuff, which I've been saying for years because this is how they do it. They've done this in the third world over and over again. They're now doing it here. Please remember that this hour is brought to you by the best storable food out there, mypatriotsupply.com/Alex. And I love the big plastic tote boxes, storage boxes that it comes in. Super high quality. It's what I use for myself and my family. Non-GMO, mypatriotsupply.com/Alex. In these times, you're nuts if you don't have a good supply of storable food. 866-229-0927, My Patriot Supply. And lastly, I forgot to take it this morning because I got busy, and boy, am I feeling it. And I do this about 3 times a day. I take a little bit more than the recommended allowance of this. I take the Super Male Vitality, opening a brand new bottle of it because I can't find the one that was here. And then I put a dropper. I'm going to do 2 droppers because I need the energy. 2 droppers of that. Then I take the Survival Shield Super Nascent Iodine X2 that is life-changing for me and so many others that have taken it. This is why they put bad halogens in the food and water to block the good halogen. You put that in there. That is a hefty dose. Consult your physician before you take this, ladies and gentlemen, because you will detox. I mean, I took about half the dose the first 6 months or so of this stuff. And the first month, I did have some detoxing effects that I was warned about. And then stuff just poured out of my skin. I mean, it's just amazing. And people can notice I tan better than I used to. I used to just get sunspots when I got out in the sun. Now I actually turn brown, which is what so many experts said. And this is not out yet. No one knows what this is. But it'll be available soon. I'm taking this. So I'm not going to announce this product yet. So here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Here's to liberty. Here's to freedom. Here's to stopping World War III. Here's to humanity surviving in space bases. And here's to you, all of you out there that support the InfoWar. InfoWarsLife.com to get these products. I need a straw because the iodine goes to the bottom, or a stir. And I take it straight a lot, too. And we develop these iodines so they don't taste horrible like the alcohol-based ones. I'm not knocking the alcohol-based ones. It's just that it binds up with it and tastes like rocket fuel. So some people are like, I'm not going to take that. That's iodine. Ladies and gentlemen, this is in organic palm oil. So again, InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. Don't forget all the books, the films, the T-shirts, the pro-liberty products, Made in America, Made in1776.com. All that's discounted the month of July at InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. 888-253-3139. And we will sell out soon on the limited edition Molon Labe belt buckles. So again, get a great piece of Americana, promote the Second Amendment, and get a limited edition belt buckle and support the InfoWar. Made in1776.com, or you can find the Made in 1776 section at InfoWarsStore.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. And the whole family of InfoWarsLife.com products. We've been sold out for 2.5 months on the Silver Bullet Super Colloidal Silver. We have some of that back in right now as well. Okay, going back to Syrian Girl. Mimi, finishing up with where you see all this going. And why do you think suddenly Obama doesn't care if people know that our government runs al-Qaeda? How can Benjamin Netanyahu say we got to attack this country or Gaza, this area, this enclave, because ISIS killed 3 of our teenagers, but then be in the Jerusalem Post saying, what ISIS is doing is good for Israel and Iraq and Iran. It's just such moral bankruptcy publicly, and then it's moral high ground. If I'm not for Al-Qaeda, I'm now anti-Israel. It's very bizarre.
It's because they count on the fact that they can keep people asleep and dumbed down with all their stupid shows that they put on for them, and basically they muddy the waters. You know, on one hand they tell you, they try to spread rumors like, oh, Israel's neutral, or Israel actually supports Assad, when in reality they're actually helping the rebels, giving them medical aid and giving them shelter on the border. And these are Al-Qaeda that they're sheltering. You know, it's obvious for people who are paying attention, but they're counting on the fact that nobody's paying attention.
Other points you'd like to get out on air before we go to calls, and I want to get your take on Ukraine.
Other points on ISIS, I suppose, I wanted to really make the point that when Obama said he wanted to give $500 million to strengthen the moderate rebels, what he really was trying to say is, I want to give $500 million to ISIS, because he himself said just a week previously that the idea of a moderate-ready rebel force in Syria is a fantasy. And even the head of the moderates, Jamal Mar'ouf, this is the guy that the US says is the beacon of hope, said on record to The Independent that Al-Qaeda is not his problem and that he's fought alongside them in many battles. And this just happens to be the Jabhat al-Nusra faction. So I just wanted to say that while ISIS is barbaric, we shouldn't forget about the barbarism of the other rebel groups which are sold to us as moderates.
And again, most people in the government are not evil, so all this confusion is designed to confuse the military, the police, everybody. We're here decompartmentalizing this, and we've shown years beforehand we know what we're talking about right now. We are right about this.
And we have been for a long time, I think.
What's coming next? What do you think's what's the next big shoe to drop in the Middle East?
I think that the idea for the Middle East is to keep them on a slow burn and keep the bloodshed going as long as possible, and hopefully get some divided states. I think that with Ukraine and the world and where everything is going, I know, I'm sorry, did I jump ahead? Did you
go ahead. Yeah, let's talk about Ukraine.
Well, I wanted to say, you know, at the end of the Cold War, one of the deals that went about before Warsaw was disbanded was that Ukraine would sort of stay a neutral ground that wouldn't be put into the NATO camp. Now, whilst Warsaw, the USSR's brand of NATO, was disbanded, NATO remains alive and well, and NATO's objective was to isolate Russia. And I believe that what's happening in Ukraine now follows what happened between the Georgia-Russian war only a few years ago, and what's happening in Syria as well, is to continue basically to restart the Cold War and to continue to surround and isolate Russia. And that's heading towards dangerous ground. What happened in Maidan was basically a colored revolution, whether or not, you know, the government that was overthrown was an oligarchy. It was democratically elected, but whether or not, you know, the governments in Ukraine were an oligarchy, which I'm sure they were, you know, a lot of what happened was another oligarch was put into power. But in the meantime, they created so much division and problems between the people and disenfranchised the Russian speakers. So it is a direct result of this colored revolution we're seeing happen in Ukraine now. And it just goes to show you that even if the Syrian president had stepped down at the start of 2011, it wouldn't have prevented a civil war. It would have perhaps accelerated the balkanization and the division of Syria.
Well, that's right. And again, it's the very same proxy war they're starting in Ukraine that they've started in Syria over the last almost 4 years. And what's wild about this is when you're just even barely paying attention, it's all in slow motion clear. It's all admitted. But in our news, it's like, bad man Putin ordered plane shot down. He mean. We need to hurt him. And Putin mean. Putin bad.
Putin evil, and, you know, he's the brand new dictator. And
yeah, Putin's missile. Oh, he's so, like he was there launching the missile himself when it's hiding in plain view. Why was a commercial airliner of the exact same make and model of the other missing one. I mean, this just gets a little too weird. It's basically impossible, folks, in my view, statistically, to fly through a restricted airspace area. And I had all these air traffic controllers, you name it, call in, and they said, yes, you're right. Just no one is allowed to fly in there. It's a huge area. And they fly right through it when they shot down another plane there the day before. So statistically, I think the Russians probably did shoot it down. But the issue is that they flew it through there. And we had an air traffic controller on earlier saying this will be the equivalent of in Vietnam flying a passenger jet over Hanoi, over North Vietnam, and then freaking out saying, they shot down a passenger liner. Well, you would ask, why did you fly a plane through a war zone? Whoever ordered it to fly through there is who did it, basically.
I think it's very, very strange that nobody is able to fly over Syrian airspace where it was like